This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reiss and Mark Benzer.
Hey everybody, it's Tyler and Mark here. We want to thank everybody for listening. Please like and share this video. We actually have an announcement of an upcoming episode where we want you to be more involved. Question and answer. You ask the questions, we'll give you the answers. And how can they get this over to you?
Yeah, let's send us any of your questions to our Facebook Messenger page, or I guess our Messenger, Buffalo Community Podcast.
Yep.
With your question, and we will pick some of the better questions out and answer them on a future episode.
Yeah. I'll probably pick the worst one.
Or I'll pick the good ones, he'll pick the bad ones, and we'll answer them all.
Absolutely. Now enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, we're super excited. This is episode 60 of the Buffalo Community Podcast, now produced by Luke Edlund. We've been extremely blessed to have him a part of our crew now. You saw him on episode 59, and right now he's actually hard at work behind all these cameras. We've got 4 cameras. We've got computers and wires. If you could see, it looks like spaghetti on my floor.
It stresses me out just looking at it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But Luke knows what's going on, so that's all that really matters.
He'll make us look good and sound good. But a little bit about this week's episode is we kind of want to recap of what does it take to become a podcaster.
You just got to call yourself a podcaster.
Duh.
And then you're a podcaster.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like your Instagram entrepreneur.
Yeah.
As long as it's on your bio, it's okay. But actually, we get that question a lot of like, oh, hey, we like that. How do you do that? How do you become a podcaster? And I would consider this a much more advanced setup than one I think we ever anticipated to be at.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not needed.
Right.
It does make our lives easier.
Yes.
But it's not needed to get started.
Yep. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the brains or the technical behind this production.
Yep.
But I do tell people.
I say that so quick, yeah, they can tell.
Yeah. But I do tell people that I wouldn't let a lack of equipment stop you from doing a podcast.
Agreed.
If all you have is the free headphones that come with your iPhone, do that. Because I think you can make a good enough production with earbuds and an iPhone.
Yep.
And getting a Rodecaster, getting nicer mics, getting 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras is great.
And a half a mile of
and
cords.
A half mile. Yeah, like all of those things are wonderful, but unnecessary.
Correct. And this is a little bit different because we introduced a video aspect. And that was intentional because we want people to, all of our guests, we want people to see them at, Walmart or Target or grocery store or whatever and say hi. He's like, hey, I just saw you on the podcast.
Yep.
And that's happened,
right.
which is great. We're really thankful for that. But let's kind of recap the last year and a half. We've been doing this year and a half now, or episode 60. Some of the things that we changed, some of the things that maybe in the future will change, although we probably don't know because we just kind of pretty fluid. But yeah, let's recap the whole year. Let's go back to November of 2019.
That referring to guests and everything, or more on the technical
kind of
side.
That starting point of, hey, let's do something.
Sure. Yeah, I think it started with the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of you get to that moment of like, we either do this or we don't.
Correct.
We either quit talking about it or we do it.
Yep.
And so we both had a couple DSLR cameras with a 20-minute recording maximum. So we would have to stop every interview 20 minutes in, hit re-record, and finish, record the next 20 minutes and
hopefully the audio lined up.
Hopefully, yeah, right. And so it was, looking back, we laugh, how tedious, what a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But it's all, it's the only thing we knew. But to go back to that
Right.
would be pretty miserable.
Yes, for sure. We're pretty thankful for some upgraded equipment. Makes our life a little bit easier, and actually makes the conversations with our guests a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, oh, thank you for being really important right there in that really sensitive story.
Right.
But you need to stop and then get that emotion back.
Yeah.
Here in a minute and a half.
Yep. Only one time did we have to re-record the entire first 20 minutes, right? With the Buffalo Bulldogs, we had John Early and Corey Braun in here.
Yeah.
And we did 20 minutes of podcast.
Yep.
Only to find out when it was time to hit re-record that for whatever reason it didn't
record at all.
Yeah. So to re-record, you have to record, and
Correct.
that part.
Yes, so that was kind of like, are you kidding me? Obviously, we're not professionals here, but
Right.
They took it in stride.
Oh,
it was, hey, sorry guys, that really fun 20 minutes we just had, and learning a little bit more about us.
And that funny joke, that good one-liner.
Yes,
Now
let's do that again.
Yeah.
And I think it actually landed pretty well the second time as well.
Right.
I mean, I think it was like, without knowing, we had to remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was okay. And there was one with Paul and Lori, CK Seafoods.
Yep.
It was, oh my goodness, these two people's mics weren't working. That was when we had the lav mics.
Oh, sure.
These two people, okay, this is going to maybe kind of sound a little bit choppy, but it is definitely a learning experience of, hey, if we want this to be smooth and people to actually watch it for any more than, okay, scroll up, let's step up the quality of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we've done. I think people are surprised that Apple didn't call us saying, hey, we're looking for a couple of guys to start a local podcast. In Buffalo. Just opened.
Right.
Are you interested?
Yeah.
But we want you.
Right. Yeah. No, not the case.
So if anybody's actually thinking about it, buzzsprout.com is where we host our audio. And obviously YouTube is free. Facebook is free to upload to all of these things. And it's work to get it uploaded. Now we've got a producer that's going to do most of the bulk of it, but he's got some pretty sweet equipment that makes our lives a lot easier.
Right.
But it's just the timing of go do it. We put a plan in to be consistent of saying, hey,
that might be the most important thing that we do.
Yes.
More than equipment, more than anything, it's just that dedication to we're going to release something every single week.
Yep.
And there have been maybe 2 or 3 times when it's been Wednesday and we haven't had a guest and we say, we're releasing something this week. And so we sit down without a guest and we put something out.
Which is really funny because we missed a week. This is coming a week. This is 2 weeks from our last episode to this episode.
Oh, really?
It's just one of those times. It only happens a handful of times. So we've actually changed our schedules of now that we've got another person involved is we're going to pre-record 3, 4, maybe 5 episodes.
Yep.
That way we can schedule it out, and it's a lot easier on us, on Luke. And one, it just fits into a busy schedule. So if you're thinking about doing this, we're going to be busy for a few hours today, but there's a month of work.
Right.
I don't consider this work at all. This is too fun to be work.
Yeah, right.
And we don't get paid for it. So.
Yeah. So if it looks like we wear the same thing all the time,
yeah,
that's
yes, exactly.
because we record all of our episodes in one day.
Absolutely. We've done that. I think maybe one of the highlights, I think I've told this story before on here, is kind of walking in of, hey, we saw you on the podcast. We love that when we walked into that golf tournament together. That was
right after Hayes Public House.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, we were name dropping like crazy today.
Another good example of how what I feel are the best podcasts. When I leave here going, that was a really good podcast. It has very little to do with us.
Yes.
And everything to do with the guest. And
agreed.
Hayes Pugs is a interesting guy with a great story who owns a brewery.
Yes.
And we get all sorts of credit for doing a really great podcast when
It was just him.
it was just a really great guest.
Yeah.
Rusty Kath is another good example of that.
Agreed. One thing, it was just right there on the tip of my tongue too, is one thing we've learned is the cameras are kind of intimidating. We've gotten used to it after, 60 plus episodes now. But when people come in, a lot of times this is their first podcast, and right now, I can almost touch the camera right now. I'm like right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's intimidating. And I don't feel we get, what I'm trying to say is, as soon as the cameras are off and we're done recording, every single time we have a 20, 30-minute conversation with our guest that could have been a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit more free. And that's one thing we kind of learned of, like, that's a very consistent thing.
Yeah.
People don't care to be watched, is my guess. And they're just a little bit more comfortable when it's just us.
Yeah. And there's that not being on record feeling of, maybe being more open or honest. I don't know what it is, but it's usually a pretty good conversation that happens after the recordings that
Agreed.
That you wish we should have never quit hitting record because
we wouldn't get that conversation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But now we're appreciative of all of our guests. We look forward to the rest of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you are considering starting a podcast, I have no problem answering questions about this.
I do. Don't. I'm just kidding.
Yes, call Tyler.
Call down.
And another thing is, if you have, wanting to do any digital media productions, is contact Luke. I mean, this is his deal. We met yesterday when we were getting everything set up, making sure we've got all the cords and everything. And he's like, well, how do you want me to do this? I said, well, this is your baby now. Like, don't mess it up.
Right.
This is your baby. Let's try and work this out. And actually, this episode, you saw an amazing intro.
Yep.
That I think just brings up our quality level, and he shot that in a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing we're just gonna keep on going with, and we usually
until he gets sick of us.
Well, that's true. That's true. We hope that you guys can keep him busy though.
Yeah. Right.
so he keeps coming back. I guess one thing I would advise anybody wanting to start a podcast or thinking about it is, one, kind of have at least an outline of a game plan until you're good enough to just wing it. Yeah. Because there's oftentimes we wing it and we start rambling like we are right now.
Just like right now.
Yep.
No, I think it's good. Have your plan, have your theme. Who are you trying to reach? Right?
Correct.
Are you trying to reach your potential customers? Are you trying to reach a certain industry? Are you trying to reach a certain community? Are you trying to reach, and really just focus everything you do around who do I want to watch this? Because I think targeting them, I think of it more as spearfishing rather than, casting a net. You're going to gain more viewers of that target market than trying to be too broad or too general. Yeah. And really.
Which I would consider this a very niche podcast. This is Buffalo. This is about the greatest small town in the USA. And actually, if you look back to 2020, everything that happened has actually, I think, benefited this specific podcast and every guest that was on it. Yeah. Because it's what is happening in our community in a year that you couldn't get out or it was harder to support or anything like that. And every little bit helps. So in that aspect, I'm pretty thankful that sounds really bad. I'm pretty thankful for that global pandemic. Now, I'm thankful for we were blessed with the opportunity to bring this to the community. Yep. Especially we've heard some success stories from our guests, which is incredible. We support local. This is from Integra Print. Our guest this morning gave us pretty awesome T-shirts, which you're going to see next week. Yep. And people seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah. And if they didn't, we aren't here, right? So
Right.
thanks for watching, because we certainly would have no leg to stand on if we didn't have good feedback and good constructive criticism and everything that we've gotten over the last year.
Do you? There was one guy. I think I banned him from commenting anything on our videos. It was our Vikings giveaway.
Oh yeah.
So I have a Favre jersey that I've had since he played for us.
Right.
So 11 years now. And his comment goes, "Geez, the guy with the Favre jersey, go up a size or two." And I'm like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
But okay, you're not wrong.
Right.
But I'm not going to go buy a new jersey. But I was like, ouch, internet trolls, I guess they're kind of making it now.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
it was, I didn't know him. He's not even from Buffalo. I mean, it was like northern Minnesota. So I was actually like grateful that it reached him.
Sure.
but I was like, ouch, ouch.
Yeah.
And
I can't call that constructive criticism.
Right. It was definitely
that's just
criticism.
Yeah.
So I guess if anybody does want to send me a new jersey,
a new Favre jersey.
Man, that was maybe one of I don't know if I call it a highlight or a low light, but it was definitely something.
It was something
that made me think. But yeah,
you knew it. I mean, it just comes with the territory, right? I mean,
as an internet personality, for sure.
So.
But
awesome. Yeah, reach out if you have. I mean, it is one of the more common questions: is kind of equipment do you guys have? How do you do? How'd you get started? And I guess I would leave you with don't get hung up on the equipment. Use what you got. I think audio quality is probably the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
A close second would be a good video, but I think without decent audio quality, you're gonna have a hard time hanging on to any.
Yeah.
Listeners.
Agreed, because you can't listen, can't hear it.
Or it's just annoying to listen to.
And then we get into personality.
Right.
Well, I appreciate it. I think that wraps this week of the Buffalo Community Podcast up. Again, now newly produced by Luke Edlund. I'm Tyler Reiss. That's Mark Benzer.
I'm Mark Benzer.
And this is the Buffalo Community Podcast.